We're here to make a new type of news.
New insights, new styles, and new topics every day.
We are News Generation.
Making news just for you. It's March 6th here in Seoul. I'm Sin-Yun, and this is News Generation, where we make the news at Arirang's very own open studio. Every morning, we'll discuss the top issues and latest current affairs affecting people in their 20s and 30s. Joining me in the studio is Cheska Dainhong.
Happy Monday morning, everyone.
Happy Monday. And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
And both are here to speak on behalf of those in their 20s and 30s. Now, let's start with our news feed. Every day, we look at which hashtags and news items have been trending on social media over the past 24 hours. The first hashtag is Incheon Fire. A large fire broke out Saturday night at a market in Incheon, a port city near Seoul. The massive fire burned down 55 stores and took roughly 3 hours to fully extinguish. Thankfully, no casualties have been reported. Police detained a man on Sunday morning suspected of starting the overnight blaze. CCTV footage showed him setting fire to garbage and then moving around near the market. When talking to investigators, the man in his 40s said he was extremely drunk and therefore didn't have any recollection of the night. The second hashtag is John Jones. After a 3-year break from the Ultimate Fighting Championship, the legendary fighter didn't let fans down in the UFC 285 in Los Angeles on Sunday. Jones fought against Cyril Gane, and it was the first time Jones fought in the highest weight class on his return, but it took him less than a minute into the fight to take his opponent to the mat. The last hashtag is Kakao. Recently, Kakao's labor union uploaded a post raising concerns against the company's policy adjustments. One of the biggest changes included bringing down the maximum amount of money one person can use at a company get-together outside of work hours. Supposedly, management reduced it to around $38. When other company workers heard of this, most couldn't relate to Kakao workers' frustrations. Instead, they went on Blind, the professional community app, saying how $38 was much more than what they were given in their workplace. And they also pointed out how it was more than enough for a decent meal and drinks. Now, let's dig a bit deeper into the third hashtag, Kakao. Another policy of Kakao that caught the attention of other company workers is that the firm is ending work from home and calling its employees back to the office. Until now, Kakao workers were given the full liberty to choose whether or not to come into the office. But recently, the company flipped this system completely and unilaterally without discussing it with the labor union, which actually ruffled some feathers. Once again, though, many other company workers couldn't relate to why Kakao workers were so frustrated with the change in policies. Instead, they expressed their genuine envy and praised Kakao's quality welfare policies. Now, I'd like to hear what our panelists have to say about this last hashtag. Walter, let's first talk about the amount of money a company allocates for company get-togethers outside of work hours. How much do you think is appropriate?
Well, I think many factors need to be considered here. For starters, like how often does 회식 happen? How often do these work dinners happen? If they happen on a weekly, almost daily basis, I don't expect to be, treated every day. So a low amount is fine, maybe $10, $15, something simple. But it also has to depend on the special occasion. Let's say we were successful in some sort of team project. Then maybe I would expect a little bit higher of a dinner. But also, how well off is this company? If I'm working for the biggest company in the world, I don't want them to be stingy. I don't want them to buy me kimbap when I should be getting a nice steak dinner.
What if it's like a kimbap with like caviar and like truffles? Would you
Then we can make an exception.
Okay.
But for me personally, about $15 is enough per person.
All right. And Cheska, what do you think about Kakao's decision to call employees back to the office? Like, do you or your friends think that this is the ideal way to work, or working from home versus working actually at the office?
This is such a controversial topic among our generation, and
Definitely.
I think our generation is quite split among like those who prefer home office versus those who really want to be in the office and mingle like we do,
Right.
Kind of have coffee and laugh with the colleagues.
Yeah.
But according to TOS Lab, which did a survey last year, more than 95% of people actually preferred a hybrid work culture.
95%.
So being able to have the liberty to kind of choose between when to go into work and when not to. And it seems that IT companies do want to give people some access to have home office. However, it seems that Kakao is changing, and I do see some drawbacks from that as well, yeah.
And I think it's because our generation just values efficiency.
Absolutely.
And whatever works best to boost that work productivity, right?
Exactly.
All right, and that was our news feed for this Monday. And now let's head into our main discussion topic of the day. Take a look at the screen to find out what we'll talk about. South Korean broadcast-based content has taken the world by the storm. One of the most popular is mukbang. In Korean, it means eating broadcast, where people film themselves eating various types of food. Until now, the biggest mukbang trend showed live streamers or content creators eating extremely large portions of food and interacting with viewers that requested different things for them to eat. But nowadays, a new mukbang trend has popped up. It's sosik mukbang. Sosik means eating small portions. This new type of mukbang has picked up steam with some Korean celebrities appearing on different shows taking tiny bites. Today, NewsGen looks at 3 questions. 1. Why do Millennials and Gen Z like watching mukbang content? 2. Why has sosik mukbang become popular? 3. What are some health concerns related to mukbang? Mukbang trends have shifted from eating lots and lots of food to eating incredibly small amounts here in Korea. How small? We're talking about not being able to finish a whole cup of boba tea, taking a whole day to finish a banana, or chewing one piece of chicken for at least 4 minutes. Then Cheska, why has this sosik mukbang trend captivated many people's attention?
I mean, it's so funny how you described sosik.
Yeah.
For me, I could finish a whole branch of banana
Me
in
too.
a minute.
Right.
But it seems that this kind of created a counterbalance culture to our binge eating or fast eating culture in South Korea at the moment. So I think the trend kind of started when some celebrities showed their small appetite, as you mentioned, you're finishing the entire day to finish like a boba tea or chewing on a chicken
For 4 minutes.
4 minutes, which apparently could be healthy. But I think it kind of offered a very peaceful and sort of comfortable way for people with different appetites to appreciate their own pace and their own appetite for food. And I think there were multiple reasons for why this was so popular is obviously the physical concern and the mental side effects that have been caused because of this binge eating culture. And of course, the socio-economic reasons, as the food price goes up, it's incredibly difficult to binge eat or consume more food than you want to. And I also think it's part of the minimalist movement. The less, the better.
The less, the better.
Yeah.
Then did you guys ever try watching mukbang content? And if so, what type of mukbang do you prefer? Starting with Cheska.
Okay, I've got to be really honest. I never watched mukbang.
Never in your life?
Never.
Really?
Yes, I'm not the biggest fan because I have a reason, very valid reason. I love food. Walter, you probably know this as well. I love to eat, but it's such a torture to watch other people eat delicious food. Like, I'm a conditioned dog. Like, I salivate. I'm like a Pavlov's dog. So it doesn't do very much for me. And another thing is when I see people consume too much, it also makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable.
I see.
So
You're not a big fan of mukbang then?
I'm not. So I did watch a few episodes of sosik, the small eating, which I appreciated because it allowed for people to appreciate their own pace and their own appetite. Yeah.
Right. Then what about you, Walter?
I'm a massive foodie. I love food. Food therapy is my go-to.
Food
It was my
therapy.
first love. I'm in love with food. But like Jessica, I'm actually not that interested in mukbang. However, I have filmed my own mukbang when I was an
Really?
aspiring young YouTuber. There I am.
There you
Look at that,
are.
Hunky Brewster.
Oh my God!
Such a young, aspiring YouTuber. But yes, here today, I decided that I wanted, like I said, do 5 different kinds of spicy ramen. Now, this was a very big trend at the time, and so I thought I'd stupidly do the same thing. And now I look fine, I look young and healthy and very fresh skin. However, if you continue, as the video will go through, I don't know if we'll get to it yet, but
So many types, too.
I know, I didn't even know
It's
they
not
had
just one.
there's
It's all different
trust me,
types.
there's more than that. I just try to get as much as possible. But yes, for me, it was a interesting time. As you can see, I'm about to take my very first bite.
And those are very spicy, right? They're spicy
they're
ramen
very
noodles.
spicy. The cheese one I thought was going to be a little less spicy, but I think you'll just see in about a few seconds' time.
And this is a legit video. You're showing the whole process like a mukbang video would do.
Right, exactly. It was sort of like the trend I was trying to follow at that point, which is, get on top of the
YouTube's algorithm, like ride that wave.
Yeah, but it didn't work, trust me.
And due to time, we couldn't see the whole video, but where
right.
can we?
My
viewers,
YouTube channel, Kozzie TV, KOZZIE TV. please check it out. Say hi.
Yeah, check it out if you're curious to see how spicy it gets.
Yes,
the
it gets
challenge.
pretty spicy.
Oh, how spicy it gets.
Yeah. So, Walter, you've actually tried filming your own mukbang,
Yep.
and I think you caught on to the trend when it was really early on where you have to
Right.
binge eat. So you must have analyzed what people want to see during these podcasts. Share with us what you know.
So what I do know is like before actually when I was filming that, I didn't really see the appeal to it. I was like, oh, there's just people eating and it's slurping. I don't like that sound, the crunching, whatever. However, after some research, I did find that if we take a look at the screen, that 21% of people watch this mukbang for it's fun. Simply because it's
fun.
entertaining, right? I understand it. 15.8% say they feel lonely eating alone, which is
that's true.
sad. 15.2% said vicarious satisfaction while dieting. 11.3% curious how much the streamer could actually eat.
Right.
And 10% a sense of liberation from not eating. But yeah, which one of these relates to you, do you think?
No, I was nodding my head like vigorously when you said vicarious satisfaction while dieting.
Are you serious?
Yes, because I'm on a diet like 359 days a year. That's how
Feels
much
like
I
that,
diet.
yes.
So you have a week of free
Exactly,
time.
exactly. So whenever I eat, I want to eat all these like fatty foods, but because I'm on a diet, I would watch these mukbang YouTubers do it for me, and then
Right.
I'd feel that satisfaction.
Yeah,
But
I'm
the-
completely the opposite.
Really?
The thing is, Walter, you're probably with me on this. I can't watch people eat and then not eat. Like, there's no satisfaction that comes from other people eating this delicious food. I get angry.
You get angry because you can't eat
I'm
it.
like, why is that not in front of me? And I start ordering.
But actually, sosik mukbang works the other way for me. Because they eat so tiny like amounts, I'm like, okay, that motivates me too. Maybe I should change my appetite, you know? So it's motivational in a different way.
Gotcha.
And though mukbang started in Korea, Walter, it's definitely quickly picked up steam in other parts of the world. Just how popular is it abroad?
Well, it's not going to be as popular as in South Korea because South Korea is home to one of the biggest mukbang YouTubers in the world, Donna, who they have 30.1 million subscribers.
Wow.
So the reason why I don't think it's going to go as big as South Korea is because mukbang is universal, right? The content can be seen by everyone, watched by everyone. It doesn't really need a massive language change, should I
Right.
say. But I know recently, and I guess controversially, Nico Kato Avocado, interesting name, but his content is a little strange.
Right.
He's one of the biggest YouTubers at the moment in America in regards to mukbang. He's about 3.5 million subscribers, but it's due to the way he's creating content. He was quite a lean person, and then he's turned into what I would consider a dangerously obese person at this time, mainly for clicks, in my opinion. Now, another country that was very controversial as well is China. When it was allowed in China, there was a trend for shock value for Western and I guess some other Asian countries because we consider certain Chinese food quite exotic, not what that we're used to.
Yes.
So was quite popular in China, should I say.
Right, and you just mentioned when mukbang was allowed in China, and that's a really interesting point right there. Because mukbang content garnered so much popularity, a lot of health authorities in different countries were very concerned about this, and that's why China took an extreme way of making people stop watching this by making mukbang illegal, right?
Yes. So I was very interested and impressed actually by this clean plate campaign. So it actually took another level when Xi Jinping announced, and quote, shocking and distressing food waste that is currently happening post-COVID at the moment. So now social media companies and campaigns are happening where they're literally banning these heavy eating, binge eating contents and also fining them up to about $15,000 US. So now if you search, apparently, I haven't done it, but apparently in China, if you search these eating contents, a warning message pops up saying, talking about food waste and how you should eat healthy. And in Korea, in South Korea, in 2018, we did try to do something very similar, but it was more of a guideline to sort of regulate these contents that might promote unhealthy eating and may lead to obesity.
Definitely.
So it seems that there are countries that are now realizing some of these unseen side effects from heavy eating culture.
And speaking of side effects, I think now's the best time to hear from a doctor and find out the actual health concerns related to mukbang. Let's include him in our talks right after this. Mukbang content has posed many health concerns, but exactly what kind? Let's find out from an assistant professor at the International Clinic in Soonchunhyang University. It's Dr. David Kwok. Welcome, Dr. Kwok.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Now, Dr. Kwok, what's the psychology behind people watching mukbang? Does mukbang make people feel physically full? And is there any scientific data to back this up?
So I looked up several different studies that looked into the matter because as you guys were talking about, the mukbang, the title of itself is quite intriguing, and academically speaking, it's very strange that people find seeing other people eat so much interesting.
Right.
But what a lot of the studies actually found was that, as Walter mentioned priorly, a lot of these people who watch these mukbang answered that they watched mainly because they felt lonely. They felt as if when they were eating themselves, they were eating with another person. So the biggest intent, the purpose for YouTube watchers to watch mukbang was to take care of their social issues such as loneliness. There were other factors that were involved into this, mainly people who had bad eating habits prior to watching these YouTubes. They were sort of, there are pros and cons on this matter. So people who had bad habits before, some people were actually provoked by watching mukbang to get back to the state of bad eating habits again. But other people who've had such bad habits before were actually educated through watching mukbang that they shouldn't do such actions anymore. So there were pros and cons into this, but many studies altogether, in summary, they found that the main reason people watch mukbang is mainly because they felt lonely.
I see. And Cheska, do you have a question for Dr. Kwok?
Yes, please. So the mukbang trend is a form of binge culture with the subliminal message that, quote, the more you consume, the better. What are some of the psychological and physical side effects from exposing ourselves to these kind of content on a regular basis?
Well, as a family medicine physician, I would definitely be concerned about the side effects that this mukbang could cause physically. Obviously, from binge eating, we would get obesity. We would get secondary side effects such as possible diabetes and hypertension that comes from, with and without obesity, from binge eating as well. So that would be of the greatest concern to me. But otherwise, if for those people who sort of feel fulfilled by watching mukbangs, they are also, in a way, sort of limiting themselves in social boundaries to sort of take care of their social needs only by watching mukbangs. So they wouldn't necessarily take care of their social issues outside of these so-called network. So that's another concern of mine. But otherwise, I think it needs to be studied further in the sense that because it provided already the pros and cons to these social effects, I think it needs to be studied further in that respect as well.
And Walter?
Yeah, so what about sosik? Like, what are some pros and cons behind the eating pattern? And as a doctor, could you tell us how we should be eating, I guess, healthily?
Well, let me begin by making a suggestion what would be the best. Obviously, for ordinary people like us having normal diets, the best diet is to have balanced diet, regular meals without too many snacks, but in betweens, but regular proper meals 3 times a day, a balanced diet that includes vegetable proteins and meat products would be the best ideal set of a meal. But otherwise, what's in trend medicinally is also a lot of dietitians started to recommend smaller meals except more frequent. So as long as you can keep a certain hours of metabolism to sort of digest all these food materials that are inside our stomach, they're saying it's better for them to be digested in the longer hours than to be having a very short amount of time to metabolize all the food consumption that we take in. So basically what I'm trying to say is it's better to eat much smaller and frequently than to eat large sums of meals only 2-3 times a day. So that's basically what the dietitians are recommending these days. But there are always the extremes that we should not exclude at this point. So people who are very small eaters to begin with, if they also start to eat even smaller foods, that won't be recommended at all. We also need a certain amount of level of calories intake for to carry on our daily activities. So we should also consider those people who sort of reside in the extremities, such as people who eat too much or people who eat too little. They should be consulted separately. But as for us, the ordinary people, 3 proper meals, balanced diet is probably the best recommendation that I could give.
All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Kwok. We'll definitely put that into heart, smaller but frequently. And before you do anything, talk with your dietitian.
Thanks.
All right, thank you so much. And now let's hear what our viewers have to say on today's topic. And we asked if our viewers are foodies themselves, like the traditional mukbang creators we've seen in the past, or if they sosik, which means, as we've mentioned, eating small bits at a time. Here's what some said. Me Too said, I have a love-hate relationship with food. I love to eat, hate not being skinny. Leon Teo said, I love traveling to different places to explore the various kinds of food. I live to eat, not eat to live. That's the quote of the day. Tiras Bell said, I watch my weight closely, so I carefully watch what I eat. On my cheat days, however, it's a different story. I eat as much as food as I want. Now, these are some of our viewers' comments, and very briefly, Cheska, which comment did you find most interesting?
Honestly, I think Leo's comment about I live to eat, not live to eat, I could relate to it, but I thought that was a very interesting, I think love for food is always appreciated, yeah?
All right, and every day we do upload questions related to our discussion topic for our viewers to answer. If you want to participate, please search ArirangNews on YouTube, look into our community tab. The link is right below. And we've already came to the very final part of our discussion for today. We took a look at sosik mukbang trends and the bigger mukbang trends that have been so traditional. But what do you think, Walter, is the best way viewers and mukbang creators should go?
Well, at the end of the day, we understand that it's entertainment, okay?
Right.
But when it comes to dangerous eating habits or damaging one's health, like I mentioned before, the Nikocado avocado YouTuber, I think he's a bit too extreme. He's not teaching the right way to eat, although it was very interesting to see the doctor's opinion that some people actually saw that as an educated reason, right?
Which is very interesting.
Maybe I shouldn't eat like that, so it's quite interesting that way. But the deeper discussion is that we need to teach the younger generation as well that this is not the way to go. As we briefly talked off air as well, they said that we are confused that why are some of these YouTubers so slim, and the doctor mentioned to us that they purge as well, which is really dangerous, and this is not great for our future.
Definitely, just take it as a source of entertainment. And all right, let's call it a day. Today we looked at latest sosik mukbang trends and heard from the new generation here in the studio explain why they think this type of content is popular. At the same time, we learned a few tips on eating healthily from a doctor. And we'll be here every day from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. Korea time, bringing you more topics that young people are talking about. Special thanks to Cheska Dainha.
Pleasure's all mine. Thank you so much.
And Walter Lee.
Lovely to be here.
And thank you everyone for watching. We'll see you tomorrow. We are
News Generation.